All right, go. Go. That's tomorrow. That is it. All right, go. That's tomorrow. And that is it for us today. We'll leave you with a. I can't do it. We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks. That's tomorrow. That is today. I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks again for watching. We'll leave you with Sting and a cut off his new album. Take it away.
What is up, everybody? It is your boy Lou Martinez, aka Big Chief Burrito, live with you on a Monday. Fireside Chats with Big Chief Burrito, coming off festival mode where we've been talking about Latinx movies for the last, seems like months, but 10 days, and I've watched so many movies. But now feels good to jump back into some movie talk. And what has been happening is everybody, hopefully up until this point, has watched the old but new Snyder cut of Justice League. Obviously, this is an example of the internet ruling all things. And we're going to talk about the power of the internet today. We're going to talk about the actual Snyder cut. And I put out the bat signal, so to speak, the pod signal. I said, who would like to talk Snyder cut with me? And I had a couple of people in mind. I figured, let's talk to Supergirl herself, Kara L. We got to get her on. I know her. And then I saw my boy Patrick was posting some definitive takes on the subject. So I was like, hey, man, you want to come on and talk Snyder cut? I also have some favorite Snyder fanboys that are going to be coming on later in the week that just couldn't schedule it out. So I actually got a pretty good response. So tonight, I want to welcome on my guest, and we'll just jump right into it. From the previous and upcoming Supergirl fan film, or Supergirl Unburdened. I don't know if it's this called. We'll figure it out. But Miss Crystal Hubbard, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
All right. Good to talk to you again.
Hello, everyone. Yes.
And from all the way down from Mexico, actor Patrick Michael Valley.
How's everybody doing tonight? Doing great.
Let's get us into a cooler looking shot here. I'll put myself on the burrito side. There you go. There you go. But number one, thank you guys for coming on the show. I had Patrick on before because you were doing the live reading of the play for Jose's charity a while back, Art for a Better Tomorrow, which is one of my charities that I support. And I've worked with Crystal on a couple of projects in the past, and she's out in the East Coast now in that Georgia acting scene. So let's get an update from over there. How are things moving?
They are moving. There are projects that were able to start sooner than others. Generally, projects that already had an infrastructure here. We had somebody just had their scene air on The Walking Dead. Stuff is moving along.
I was going to ask you, have you got to zombie school yet, or?
No, I did not go to zombie school yet. Which I know everyone asked that one, and I don't blame them. But that is a dedicated school. They have some really good zombies come out of that one.
Yeah.
But we used to have this checklist in San Diego of everything that everybody did that was being filmed. There was like a bingo card that you filled out if you were working in San Diego. So there is a bingo card in Atlanta, and it definitely includes The Walking Dead. I have not filled up the bingo card yet.
Well, I had a rant recently where, I mean, you've been out of the scene here for a minute, but there's people, and let me get your guys' take on this because you guys are both actors. But there was an abundance of people that were just sort of still trying to get their little projects going, their little credit and Little Caesars Pizza projects, and I've had a rant, which is nobody needs to die for your shitty zombie series, because especially not for like a paid gig. How have you been like, I know you're doing the compliance thing, but have you been like super careful of any productions that approach you or that you try out for and stuff like that, or have you just eliminated other people's projects from your repertoire right now?
I know what I did is several projects eliminated themselves during this past year. I don't think they'll be able to get back up off the ground. So there was that, probably for those reasons. So I didn't have to make the decision. Mm-hmm. In other cases, I do find myself being a little bit stricter about which projects I'm either submitting to or reading the casting for, anything that's being sent to me. If you are with an agency and you are union, there's definitely an even stricter filter than there used to be. Mm-hmm. But honestly, it's hard for me to say whether that's coming through because I've been pickier, the people who are helping me are being pickier, or what's happening is that there just aren't that many projects that are kicking off right now that are union, because every studio and every producer is having to pick and choose what they can move forward with or where the budget's going to go. It is more expensive to do a project now than it was several months ago, a year ago.
Yeah, I've heard like 10-15%, which is still a big deal if it's right. If that's
yes.
someone else, right?
Depending on the project, you had ones that were barely getting off the ground before. So
right.
Now you're looking at 10-15% of overhead, not including if anything goes wrong. Now there's the added problem. This is one more big reason why your project might get delayed, might get shut down. So not only do you have to think about the upfront cost of any additional upfront cost of getting to principal photography, now you have to think about, is this the project I'm worth risking losing all of the money in if one of my actors gets sick and can't work for 2 weeks, and somebody else gets sick and can't work for 2 weeks? Mm-hmm. This is why we lost several Netflix shows that were really good that would have been aired again so what I'm thinking of, Glow. We lost Glow because they didn't have the money. They didn't have the money for every time an actor was getting sick or somebody major in the production was getting sick. So they lost the project.
Netflix has that weird algorithm where it's like, all right, you gave us 3-4 good seasons, like the money that it's going to cost me to do season 5 versus the amount of new people that will join because I'm giving you a season 5 does not equate. Therefore, you are canceled.
And Netflix is huge out here in Atlanta. This is where they film a lot of their projects, and if it isn't worth it, a lot of projects got scrapped. A lot of pilots are gone. A lot of things that people, had depended on. But that having been said, I'm also not really seeing the pickup has been steady. It's not like it just suddenly overnight there were 50 things in my email box. The pickup has been steady. So
you think Atlanta's ahead of like Vancouver right now in terms of total production, or do you think it's a little bit behind them, or do you think it's like LA, New York?
I think that depends on who you would ask.
Yeah.
I think everyone has their opinion on that.
I see a lot of Georgia filmed in Georgia. I see also a lot of filmed in British Columbia. So I'm wondering, like, they're battling it out with tax credits.
Tax credits, and here's a big difference people forget. If you have a criminal record, even if it's a DUI, you can't work in Canada.
Oh, that's right.
You can't go up there.
Right.
That knocks a lot of people in the industry out.
Wait, hold on. What about if you're directing something? Is that the same?
Canada won't let you in.
All right.
You have a record. If you have a DUI, you can't travel there to work. You can't get the work visa. You don't qualify.
That's right.
I don't know how many grease palms there would have to be for that to be an exemption, but I know there are a lot of people who are stuck in the States.
Uncle Joe, I need a full pardon. Right, just kidding.
and my record expunged, right?
Patrick, what would I mean? Because Mexico's been a little bit, I don't want to say lax, but like you hear a lot of stuff coming out of there in terms of the issues they're having containing stuff like that. Have you done anything like local while you've been down there, or have you just been focusing on like?
I mean, honestly, I just kind of been hunkering down. Down here, like I'm in Mexico City, right? Like that's what 25 million people, or 20 million people. And I'm also, like I said, I came down here to spend some time with family. So I'm with my mom, who is 70, and my grandma, who is 91. So I got to be real careful.
Yeah, absolutely.
About going out. So I've kind of just been relaxing. Trying to see what projects that I used to have last year that got canceled are spinning back up. I was mentioning earlier, filming something back in New York in May, and I'm going to take that opportunity to be up there and get myself some Pfizer or some Moderna or something like that.
Moderna,
because vaccination down here is, it's kicking off and it's going, but it's still just for at-risk populations. So, and I know back in New York by May 1st is going to be
everybody's going to be back on.
Everybody. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right. So let's jump right in. I mean, as you guys, I'm taking care of a 90-year-old, so I've been lockdown mode for the last year. Our movie played at a drive-in right now as part of the festival, so I ventured out a little bit, but I've gone out maybe 10, 15 times over the last year at all. So I understand that. That's why I started doing content from home and said, hey, I need to stay creative somehow, and I need a human interaction. So this is good. This is good for me. All right. So let's jump right into it. The fanboys demanded it. The fandom demanded it.
Yes.
People were unhappy. We heard about this cut like a couple of years back, like the mysterious Snyder cut. What happened?
Almost immediately, yeah.
Yeah. Where did it go? And I mean, recently the internet continues to flex its muscles. They did it with the Sonic the Hedgehog thing, where it was like, you know what, you need to go back and spend another 10, 15 million and fix that guy's nose a little bit.
That doesn't look right.
The eyes.
Yeah. And obviously it's happened in other places, like, whatever you want to bring into it, but the groundswell did enough. HBO Max was launching, so they're like, could you finish it for 70 million? He says yes. They get rid of all the Whedon footage, all the little jokey jokes, the whole vibe. All of a sudden, we get back to the bones of what he started. So let's start off with first impressions. Patrick, I know you had a definitive take on it. Why don't you give it to us?
Man, I absolutely love this film. Okay, like I remember back in 2017 when the so-called Justice League came out. Like on first watching, I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was good to see the characters up on screen. But it was definitely one of those things where like you saw that it didn't match up with what was done in Batman versus Superman, especially the Ultimate Cut. And I'm a big Superman fan. I'm talking about like, I'm that kid that used to dress up as Superman and ask the mom if like we could go to the store and I could dress as Clark Kent with my Superman underneath, right? So it's been a long time. And it was disappointing. And immediately, given the whole background of how everything went down and how Zack Snyder had to step away due to family tragedy, and then Joss was brought in to quote unquote finish his work, there started to be rumors that there was a cut out there. And as soon as the rumors started, hashtag release the Snyder cut, so on and so forth. I'm unashamed to say that I would tweet every time that stuff was trending. I was like tweeting away, because I really wanted to see that cut. And it's almost surreal to be here now, like the weekend after it came out. Yeah. Full 4-hour cut. Like we've gotten more material than we would have gotten.
Did you binge it or did you pause?
Dude, I've seen it 4 times.
Okay. All right.
That's 16 hours worth of my weekend.
He binged for 16 hours.
Yeah.
All right. How about you, Crystal? Did you binge it, or did you
I had to pause. I had to pause, and there's parts I've watched more than once now. I'm probably still processing a lot because I wanted to walk away for a couple of days before I went back and tried to watch anything else again. That's just me.
Mhm.
I had my reasons.
That's cool.
I step back, and it's a lot. I feel like there could be dissertations written about what happened with this movie in Hollywood for a couple of generations to come. Because it's a lot. It's a lot. Not just the movie, as you said. It's everything that happened around it. At the same time, you have another studio doing so well,
right,
with pretty much the same content.
Yeah. Well, I know you used to have, because I know a long time ago when we had the other pod, we had talked a little bit about Man of Steel, and I think you were disappointed in terms of what they were doing with the character, specifically as it related to Pa Kent, and specifically like kind of like about what the character's motivation was. But so does this put the rest of that into context? Does this change the Superman character at all for you, or do you still kind of feel the same way?
No, I definitely feel like this is the dumbest Superman they've ever created. But they certainly have shown more respect for the fact that it's supposed to be a full character. And a big part of it was I was at times trying to bring up, there are two separate arguments. There's an argument that people can have about, I don't want to say argument, opinions people can have about this movie from a movie perspective, and opinions people have as comic book fan perspective.
right.
Those are two things that we try to cover as two different problems. And with Man of Steel, I did take the comic book side of it very, very much in that sense. I felt like they created a Superman like that always felt sorry for himself, that was like a little emo for me. It was the decisions that were being made felt like they were only thought of for that scene, but there isn't anybody really thinking about the big picture of who this character is supposed to be. Why are we supposed to care about him? What's his growth? And I just didn't see any character growth, aside from the fact that the decision to allow his father to be swept away by a tornado was, I mean, that was a golden opportunity to prove to your dad that he was wrong. That was a golden opportunity to do it where nobody could see. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I just didn't feel like that was a good decision.
Two father suicides in these films. Cyborg's dad decides to vaporize himself for some reason, and Pa Kent decides, you know what? I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. That's probably and you're right. That thing made zero sense when I watched it. And I'm coming at this from a non-comic book perspective. I was a sports geek growing up. I wasn't a comic book geek, so I could tell you who played second base for like the '92 Mets before I can tell you anything about like comic books or whatnot. So. So I'm looking at it strictly from a film perspective. My knowledge of the Batman and DC universe, other than some cartoons here and there, is from a moviegoer's perspective. But go ahead.
So, no, I just like it. It's interesting. It's come out recently that pretty much every time they take on a new film project, the Marvel team watches the early Superman movie. They watch the Richard Donner movie.
Yeah.
They watch it, and the reason that they do that is that the point is the entire balance of the movie. It's a balance of the humanity. It's a balance of the power. It's they feel like that is the blueprint that superhero movies should take. And an important part of that is that he says, I have all the powers in the world and I couldn't save him. I couldn't save him. Not I didn't. Not he didn't want me to. In that movie, Superman couldn't save his dad. He was completely helpless. And that's an important part of turning Clark into Superman. And there is nothing like that in Man of Steel. That moment does not exist in any way, shape, or form. And the entire point of that happening in the comic book was what it did to him. And it's something people can relate to. I felt like I don't understand. I never understood the motivation for changing it so much.
I guess the only time he really has a struggle is when he's breaking dude's neck, right? Where he's like, "Oh, I'm so conflicted, but I want to break your neck," right?
Meanwhile, in this movie, they kill every parademon that comes along, and the parademon used to be a person. But that's okay. Let's just kill them all because we care so much about life.
Thanks for stopping by, Keith and Jones. Comic book creator, Kid Comics. Featured comic book artist. Thanks for stopping by the stream. She knows what she's talking about. Absolutely. See, people can't even be honest in their commentary in this film without feeling like they will be attacked. I don't know if that's gonna. If that's I think people need to be just. You know, I saw a lot of things where it's like, okay, I saw it both ways. I saw people that were like, "This is better than Endgame," which I don't agree with, because I don't think this moment, like literally one of the best things I've seen on the internet recently is that clip where they show the crowd reaction to Captain America saying assemble,
Avengers
and
Assemble.
the entire theater's like, what would the equivalent of that moment be for this movie?
Well, the thing is, I don't think you can have that moment in this movie, because one of the things that Marvel has done superbly is they've been building this universe movie to movie since Iron Man, right? Since his first Iron Man. Like literally the first Iron Man had end sequence where they're starting to form the Avengers, right? And DC, like it or not, they've taken a completely different road. You know, to a certain extent, I think some people wanted to cut some corners. Like if I would have been doing it, maybe we would have done Man of Steel, and then maybe a Man of Steel sequel, maybe a Batman standalone, then Batman versus Superman, maybe, or I don't know, something like that. And they've done that to a certain extent with varying success, right? Like, I mean, Man of Steel, it wasn't a $1 billion movie, but it made money, right? Batman versus Superman, they wanted it to make $1 billion, but it made 850. You know, it made money. Like by any other metric of any other movie, it would have been considered successful. But Warner Brothers wanted that $1 billion, $2 billion Marvel money without taking the time to do it because they were playing catch up. But at the same time, you know, BVS introduces Wonder Woman, introduces Batfleck, and to a certain extent, a very short clip of Aquaman and Flash. But then, you know, you have the Wonder Woman movie that was successful. Then you have the Aquaman movie that was successful. You had Justice League, which was a big old mess, which, you know, we're probably going to discuss more in a second. But, and, you know, out of all of that, Wonder Woman almost made $1 billion. Aquaman definitely made $1 billion. They had that standalone Joker movie that made $1 billion. But there's no moment in Justice League, as I see it. I mean, maybe there's a one shot when the League is starting to is trying to get into fighting Steppenwolf at the end, where it's like the whole League. Where you have
the action shot, right? Where
that action shot, unbelievable. And that, I feel like that's where Snyder's strength is, really. Like, as a director, like, for my money, like, his visuals are unbelievable.
He's a great DP. Like, he's a wonderful DP.
And the way that he frames the heroes is just insane.
Do you think it has anything to do with his background in music videos, Crystal?
Well, I mean, there were like 16 music videos in the Snyder Cut. If you pulled them out, these would all be music videos. Like, here's the Aquaman music video with this song. Here's the Flash music video with the car accident. Here's these were music videos.
The man loves slow motion, and he loves shitty covers. He loves slow motion and shitty covers to good songs, and that's how he rolls.
We knew that from Watchmen. We knew that if you watch Watchmen, we knew that.
Or Sucker Punch, right? He
loves Sucker Punch.
He loves slow motion and he loves crappy covers. Okay, I did a little Snyder deep dive, and I found I didn't know about this. I guess I think I knew about this, but he did that animated owl movie.
Yeah, the Owls of Ga'Hoole.
The Owls of Ga'Hoole, right?
Yeah, or like something Guardians.
But it
came out the same. Yeah, Guardians.
There's so much owl slow motion. Look at that. It's like
See, I'm a fan of slow motion though.
It's the opening of Labyrinth we wish we had.
Okay, sorry. I had to show the
Labyrinth.
I had to show the owl slow motion, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
He does enjoy a good slow motion shot. I was like, all right, how much slow motion is gonna be in this movie? I was like, I'm gonna set the over under at like 18 slow motion sequences, and there was like 10 an hour. There was like every 5 minutes something happened, and it was just like boom, 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 you know, and it was just and I don't know, I don't want to. I mean, that's his style, and is he more of a he has more of a filmmaking aesthetic than he has like a filmmaking style, right? Is that safe to say?
I mean,
I guess
he definitely has, you know, he that whole like more muted colors thing happening. I mean, you can see that just comparing 2017 or 2017 Justice League and this Justice League, and he does have. I mean, if you don't like slow motion, you're not gonna like Zack Snyder. I happen to love slow motion, so I'm good.
Yeah, when it's done, sparingly, I guess. Crystal, what was your favorite part about it? If you had to pick, like, what was the best part?
A good part that I have for. I mean, I greatly appreciate the character building that's in this movie compared to the other one. I will probably never watch the other Justice League again. I watched it once. I had seen pizza, and I'm not going to sit through it again. There are parts of this movie I would sit through again, and they all have to do with more in-depth character dives. I have notebooks of New Genesis and Apocalypse and Darkseid and all of his generals and soldiers because of the fan film I had to do. I had to break everything down. So all of that information is out there. So creating Steppenwolf as a character with a real motivation should have always been in there. I am so happy it's here. This is a clear mode. It's not just a bad guy. That's important.
I had empathy for the guy in this one, right?
Yeah, it's like
he's almost got like a redemption story, you know.
We get it. Even if it's just, I think Alec compared him. Okay, it's the Silver Surfer, and this is Galactus. Yes, there is going to be a mirror for all of those things. That's absolutely true. So that's a good way to look at him. And then the motivation of trying to get on the good side. The problem is we don't have much of a follow-up or build-up of really what it means to these people to be on Darkseid's good side. Like they did a good job of showing his facial desperation. That's great. So at this point, my favorite part for Greatest Improvement is probably Steppenwolf, because that's a much better glimpse of what Apocalypse is like and why we need to be scared of it.
Okay, how about you, Patrick?
Definitely Cyborg's arc, which was completely obliterated in 2017. I mean, he didn't have anything to do, and in this movie, he is a central character. Like, the movie doesn't work without him. They don't get to do any of the things that they do without Cyborg, and I think that's just sweet justice. You know, like it's
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because especially when you think about the fact that this was Ray Fisher's first film. Like, this dude could have been a superstar, and he still might be. I don't know. He's a fantastic actor. I saw him in Fish Clay McMahon in New York when he was playing that Muhammad Ali in that. But like he like that, the whole relationship with his father, the fact that he loses his father, like the fact that he's coming to terms with these new abilities that he has, and the fact that he didn't get to choose. All of that, I feel, just makes such a much more compelling story. But I think
brings us together.
Exactly. But I think, I mean, in that same vein, every single character in this 4-hour movie is so much better developed than in the 2-hour movie, just by the virtue of time, obviously. But in the 2017 movie, Batman is kind of a joke. You know what I mean? Like, and here. Like, I remember there being a lot of outcry because Batman was killing a whole bunch of folks in Batman versus Superman. For me, you know, I was like, okay, well, yeah, clearly this is a Batman that's lost his way, and I feel like in Zack Snyder's Justice League, you kind of see him having regained that. Like, he's not, you know, indiscriminately killing human bad guys. At least I agree. Parademons are kind of like, you know, whatevs to a certain extent. I take solace in the fact that these particular parademons are probably not human. They're apocalyptic, otherworldly conquerors, but you know, but kind of Batman regains a little bit of faith.
Yeah, he does have a little bit of. He regains a little bit of faith at the end, as opposed to, like, for example, like the zombies in Suicide Squad, right?
Right.
Were all
human.
All human, right?
All
They
human.
were basically all like, they didn't like, let's turn them back. Like nope, sorry, too bad. You got turned into a zombie, so that shit's gonna kill you today.
This is the benefit of being Task Force X or Suicide Squad as it is. So we already know you're a bunch of homicidal maniacs.
Yeah, we already know.
Go ahead.
We get away with
it. So.
All right, we're catching up with Crystal here, all the way live from Georgia, and Patrick all the way live from Mexico City. We're talking Snyder Cut. If you have any questions or hot takes about it, go ahead, throw them in the comment section. And if you are watching, make sure that you guys are following us. Facebook.com/2am Burrito, YouTube 2am Burrito. Basically, just look for 2am Burrito or go to 2amburrito.com and you'll be able to find us and keep up and get notified when we go live. Keith, talking about earlier, we were talking about the reaction. They didn't earn that kind of reaction. Conversely, Donner had you clapping in one film. Absolutely. Patrick says, "Hey, Patrick, you famous now?"
You famous now?
Little bit. Cyborg is actually more of a main character than Batman is in the Snyder Cut. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Snyder's Wonder Woman is on point as well as the Amazons. Yeah,
yes.
I think that was probably my favorite, except for the horse CGI, which was a little clunky. Those horses looked like they were like 8-bit Nintendo horses.
Yeah, I remember. Cool thing. I remember being a bit frustrated. Wonder Woman's such a big success, and people were so in love with all of the practical fight scenes, the practical things that we saw, the practical world building, everything that we had in that movie. Like, this is the Amazons we want to see. We want to see them being these badass Greek goddesses that they are. And then you have all of these CGI fights and all of these extra powers that you're giving to Wonder. All of these, she kind of moves weird now, and I'm not a fan of how much they're pulling her away from that. I think that there was another way to show she's that extra level of Amazon without doing that. But in this, at least in the Snyder Cut, they gave her so much screen time as just Diana that's wonderful. I'm still not 100% happy with all of the dialogue that we hear. In other words, there's times they say something, I'm like, that wasn't the right way to say that, or that wasn't the right way to write that, or again, a testament to my personal opinion that some directors are better visually and other ones are better at storytelling and understanding conversations.
Well, the other part about it, at least from your perspective, Chris, was you're coming at it from a much deeper dive than most people, obviously, right? You're going to have a whole set of expectations because of the research you've done, because of your love of the character, and because that you're invested in sort of creating a character out of that universe. Do you think that comes through for I mean, because the movie itself feels like a flex, because there's all these scenes thrown in that have, you would think, no possibility of resulting in anything else. Like, why throw in the Martian Manhunter thing at the very end?
That's a whole nother story. Yeah.
I think Snyder answered that very clearly.
Well, give me a second here. Let me exposit here. Well, the reason I'm saying is because the flex to me is that he's releasing the movie as if the other Justice League hadn't happened, and as if the follow, like, so he's releasing this as if this was like 2017. You know what I mean? Like, so that's I guess the explanation is, like, why give us this dystopian future? Because if we're not going to get a payoff, because he's like, yeah, hey, if I would have done the sequel, most of it would have been in this. And he's like, flex, and he's like, oh, and I would have had Marvin, the Martian Manhunter, extra flex,
that would be cool.
That would be that I would
watch that.
So it feels so that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, it feels like a bit of a flex that he's releasing it as if the entire universe had stopped at that point, and he would have had a chance to finish the movie. You know what I mean? So that's kind of why I would think he's throwing in these things that don't make sense today, right? It doesn't make sense for you to add that after credit scene or the credits, which is one of the few things that I liked about the original movie was the post credits Flash versus Superman scene, right?
I hear you, but okay. So
But go ahead, Patrick. Go ahead.
like for starters, I think somebody asked them directly, like, why all these things? Why cliffhanger? Why? He was like, the ask was for my take, for what my take was going to be.
Okay.
Like as a fan of Snyder, like I have to say, I feel lucky that we got this Snyder cut, because had we gotten his quote unquote vision back in 2017, it would have probably been like a 2.5-hour movie, right? Which I think a lot of people would have preferred maybe, but as a completist, as like the person who wants to see every last little bit of footage that was available after a 3-year wait or a 3-year fight on Twitter, I love that we got all this stuff. Now, like all that Martian Manhunter stuff was in the books before. Like this is not something that he came up with. That like you can see, and he's shown like the like his drawings from like 2015, where he has that payoff. Spoiler alert, where Martha Kent turns into the Martian Manhunter and then turns into General Swanwick. And then if you go back to Man of Steel, who's the only person that doesn't flinch when Superman breaks the handcuffs? It's General Swanwick. Right. Yes. Like and the actor knew that he was the Martian Manhunter from way back then. Okay, so those things are cool. Yeah. But like also, like for example, like that end sequence with the Martian Manhunter when he comes in, I think either today or yesterday it was revealed on Esquire magazine that like that was supposed to be John Stewart Green Lantern, and WB was just like, absolutely not, we'll take it out. He actually filmed that in his house,
because they're doing the
and he cast it.
Movie. Yeah.
Well, the other part is in those extras. Wait, hold on a second. The other part in those extra scenes is, if he really had the full control, then why didn't he? I guess it would have probably been an extra $30-40 million if you wanted to add in the Bruce Wayne falls in love with Lois and they have a kid, right? Like he was right.
It was Superman and Lois's kid, but
well, no, there was that one part, but I think wasn't there something that was saying like what he originally wanted was a love triangle, that when Superman dies, her and Batman hook up, and then Superman comes back.
So he released in that Dallas exhibition that they have. He released a whole bunch of panels of what one of the original plans was back in the day, right? For the complete 3-movie arc. Okay, and there's a lot of things in that evolved, and so he has, and like Jim Lee did the drawings for it and things like this, and I believe in that part, in that section, the idea was that Superman dies and Lois and Bruce kind of like in their morning hookup, but that was scrapped. So that was never going to be a part of quote unquote Zack Snyder's Justice League. That was just an idea that was floating around at some point. That's
from Wedding Crashers. It's you always pick up hot chicks at funerals, man. Everybody knows that. All right, let me catch up here. Alec and Keith both say Marvin the Martian, the Snyder Cut, yes. Marvin the Martian Manhunter.
There you go.
That is your free Comic-Con cosplay idea for the hot Comic-Con. How would you do Marvin the Martian Manhunter? I guess you would do the Manhunter with the laser, right? And maybe the scarf.
You just need the helmet.
Just need the helmet, and then you need to get the voice. He's got to do a bit of the voice from the Marvin Mansion.
I'm Marvin the Martian Manhunter. Okay, I don't know. All right. I don't know. Either way,
it's in the New Frontier when they did the throwback animated movie, as if the Justice League started back then,
right.
Which is fantastic. They had Martian the Manhunter as Bugs Bunny. They had him like he kept turning into the people that he was watching on TV, and so the Looney Tunes comes on and he turns into Bugs Bunny, and you're like, oh my god, that's so cute. I want Bugs Bunny to fight next to Batman. Make it happen.
Is there any chance that end scene, the post-dystopian, is there any chance that the internet, and I know there's already like a Make the Snyder trilogy or something like that thing, what if you would say like what percentage of success do you think chance of success it has of actually happening, of people getting behind after seeing this and saying, we want him to, I don't know if it would be a rec, because I mean they didn't do Justice League 2, so it would be like a true sequel at this point. What percentage do you think of succeeding that has of us being able to push that to actually happen? 10%, 20%. What do you say? What do you say, Crystal?
I would have to know more about what direction they're moving in with Flash movie and everything right now, if that makes sense, because it's not a stand. It's something like. Are you asking if they're going to do the scene? Would they do an expansion on that story? Would there be a whole post-apocalyptic movie? Because I know that was another idea that was batted around, but
in his sequel. Like, in his sequel idea, that where it would it be kind of like at the end of Justice League, instead of them being able to beat Darkseid would have turned Superman evil, and then the next movie is the what would have happened after that, right?
Right.
Well, there's foreshadowing of that in the actual movie, right? Like there's a scene where
this is still a possibility, yeah.
Right, like, and that's actually,
and this is where I question the Flashpoint movie.
So yeah, so if the Flashpoint movie,
right,
and it brings up,
are we going back to
Earth 30 or Earth 42 or whatever?
My question about with everything they're doing with Flashpoint, are they going to go like, okay, we're okay now, but then Flashpoint's going to happen, we're going to go back and it's going to suck again, and this is going to be part of it sucking, so that we have to fix all of that, because they've done Flashpoint now like twice, and where Flash has had to go back and change things, including a post-apocalyptic horrible world, kind of like what Zack Snyder is describing. That's happened in the comics. A little different, but the same idea, where horrible, and then they send Flash back again to go back and reset time.
Fix it.
And fix it. So,
and in the cartoons too.
And in the cartoon too. So the question is that, if that's the case, then if people like that tease as it continues in the Flash storyline, then that will determine if people want to see more of that, or the complete incarnation of that world in some form, even if it is giving the motivation for so that's my question. Like, it depends on what direction. I don't see it happening right now. I think people see it as the warning that it is, that I'm looking at it as something that could happen, and we're being warned that you need to stop it from happening, as opposed to something that will happen and we need to go back and fix it.
So if the Flashpoint movie follows the events of the original Justice League, right, and where that would have been a threat, then they could theoretically tease us with a section of that movie showing us like him finding himself in that universe, and then if that gets enough response, then they'll be like, yeah, let's go ahead and do the second Justice League, I guess, right?
I differ in. I don't think that WB is going to do Flashpoint in relation to Zack Snyder's Justice League at all.
Okay.
I think they're going to try to spin off their own multiverse. That's why we got Michael Keaton involved. To a certain extent, Ben Affleck is involved. I hear that as a farewell to his Batman. We got Latina Supergirl cast for Flash. We got a whole bunch of other things happening, right? I think if the Snyder Cut has any way of living on, it'll have to be through HBO Max, 100%. Okay. And that would actually play into their multiverse, right? Like, why can't you have your cake and eat it too? You have a whole faction of fans who broke the internet trying to get the Snyder Cut, that is currently like on audience score and Rotten Tomatoes at like 97%. You got people hashtag restore the Snyderverse. You can please those fans, okay? Keep it on HBO Max. It's fantastic. You got a series, like, the Snyder Cut is divided into sections, right? You can do like
a dark side. It's a dark side storyline, basically.
Right. And HBO Max is looking for content, right? HBO Max is looking for the next Game of Thrones. HBO Max is looking for the next like crazy.
Fix the first one first.
Well, I agreed. Oh, that's a whole other story. Oh my god! But they could possibly, I mean, and I don't know how the financials of this would work. And of course, the Snyder Cut has to make a whole bunch of money for them, or result in a whole bunch of subscriptions, which I think it kind of has. Like, it kind of broke HBO Asia and did a whole bunch of things. But they could continue it as a limited series. You know, maybe do Justice League 2 and 3 in 6-episode arcs. And be done with it. And if that's successful, they could branch off. I feel like DC right now is potentially positioned to have their cake and eat it too. Like, you got people who hate what Snyder, hate what Snyder did. They can have WB proper. They can go do Flashpoint and then move on to to Michael Keaton's Batman in the Flash, and then bring back Super. Okay, they could do that, and then break off the Snyder Cut folks into HBO Max and fulfill those dreams and make the money. So like, and Sarnoff came out,
Studios like money.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't understand. I'm like, you literally have a whole bunch of fans telling you what they want, and then you have a whole other bunch of fans telling you what they want. Boom. Do that.
All right, Keith chiming in. None of this explaining matters. Okay. When the real problem is WB Studios has not understanding the material and what's necessary for it to work. They are the problem, not Snyder or any other director. So you're thinking it's kind of a top-down scenario where the people that are in charge of presenting the movie, like you said, Marvel had a plan. Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, boom, boom. The in-between shows, the beauty of starting and ending in with the same "I am Iron Man" line, the relationships that like grew throughout the series, the deaths that actually meant something, not just death for shock's sake when they're coming back, things like that. So I believe so I can kind of see that. Crystal, go ahead. You feel like you want to say something?
Well, two very different studios, but at the end of the day, I always say the fish rots from the head down. So if the people at the top make these what we feel like are mistakes, they are going to continue making those mistakes unless anything stops them. They are going to work with people who make those same judgments and mistakes. Like it takes a lot of people to get a movie like this made, and at some point somebody didn't say something, somebody didn't do something for what was happening. There is something to that. I agree with the studio heads, but this is a long history with Warner Brothers of making decisions like this. Like, don't even start with the giant spider story again. Like, right. It's always a giant spider story of what is happening. Like,
about the John
why
Peters
is
one?
that? Yes. Like, why is this? Why? What are you thinking? Why do you keep? However, I see Snyder make these decisions too. As somebody who's seen movies and loved some of his and hated some of his and agreed with some decisions and understood why that he was picked for that project, and also really disagreed with why he was picked for that project. There are times I'm like, God, they work with you because sometimes you guys think alike. Sometimes you guys make the same decisions, and it turns out to be something that doesn't pay off as much as they think it is. I have no idea what they were thinking with Krypton. That was clearly just, I want it to look this way, but it's not going to make any sense. Okay, because Avatar was cool. You gave Jor-El a dragon. I have giant spider. That's a giant spider.
I love the Krypton from Man of Steel.
No, it is a gladiator man cave. It is a gladiator man cave with no heart and a giant spider dragon.
Crystal,
and I'm just like,
killing my heart.
I hate that Krypton. I hate it so
I could
much.
have watched that entire movie of that Krypton.
No,
I would have liked the Krypton show to have continued in that vein.
Oh God, no, I couldn't do it. I couldn't get on board with that Krypton at all. It felt like it had no heart whatsoever. But as I keep saying, there are people who like it. I guess it makes more sense for it, as opposed to somebody having a preference in aesthetic, which you're always going to have. The fact is, there are movies that are more successful than others. There are comic book movies that are more successful than others, and DC, Warner Brothers, is floundering compared to Marvel. And they never seem to really learn the lesson, or when they do have something come out that is well done, and for the most part, critics and fans really like it, then they go back to the old ways. They go back and do it again. And it gets really frustrating. I'm so I am that person who's like, oh, I'm such a Captain America fan, so but I have this problem with the Captain America movie, and I said, you know what? I got stuck with this over here. I don't want to hear you complain about anything that happened with the Captain America movie. You got lucky. You got your hero. I got Jor-El riding a dragon.
Were you like the Godfather? What have they done to my boy? What do they do to him?
Oh Lord.
All right, we're catching up here with comments, everybody. We're talking live with Crystal. It looks like I picked a couple of good guests with some opposing opinions on this Snyder and DC verse here. Jim says, just make sure Marvin does not find an explosive space modulator. Of course not.
But it's called from Motherbox. It's the same thing.
Flash to the rescue here. Yeah, agreed. The multiverse is good. I would rather see the Snyderverse on Hulu. Okay, all right. Still trying to figure out Krypton. And then Keita says, but he was allowed to make huge mistakes. There are editors for a reason. There are editors. There are editors
for a reason.
But I think that but in terms of like, all right, we're gonna monetize and we're gonna make these comic books into a series. I think the entire time DC has been a step behind when they're going off of Marvel's playbook from like 3-4 years ago. They're like, oh, we're gonna go this way, we're gonna go that way. We're in catch up mode, and so I feel like you know. They're like, well, we want Moody, we want this, we want that. Where do you rank this among the Snyder films, Patrick? For you?
Oh, I mean, you're probably asking the wrong person. I think this is the best Snyder film, for sure.
You're putting it ahead of 300, ahead of Watchmen, ahead of Sucker Punch.
Well, yes, because because
ahead of the Owl movie.
Ahead of
Definitely
the Owl movie. I will die on that.
No, I'll die on that cross.
I love. Like I'm a fan of Snyder, and I'm a bigger fan of Justice League. Like it's a no-brainer for me, you know. Like I'm that guy who's been fighting for it since day one. So for sure, like the Snyder Cut's at the top for me. And it used to be maybe BVS and Man of Steel. I know that there's difference of opinions there. But I love Man of Steel.
That's okay. That's it. I'm not. Yeah.
No. But it's like at the same time, I can't. Like every point that you've made is valid because I also love the Richard Donner Superman, right? Like that was my Superman from like when I told you I dressed up as a kid, that's what I was dressing up as, like, you know. Yeah. So, but yeah, for sure.
What about you, Kristen? Do you put it ahead? Do you put it behind 300? Behind where do you put it at?
I do. But I don't know if I'm fair attributing that to Snyder. There were a lot of, and again, I'm going to freely admit this is somebody who's probably way overthought these characters. I've way overthought this mythology. But they said that there's a lot of little things. So for me, I'm lumping in the storytelling a lot, not just the aesthetic of the movie. So when it came to the storytelling with 300, I knew exactly what I was getting into when I walked into that theater. Like, I know exactly what I'm walking into. My expectations were right on par, and I ate my popcorn, and I enjoyed the movie.
Beefcakes with spears.
what was there for me to complain about? I'm good. I'm great. Y'all got the Amazons. I got the Spartans. We're good. Like, So for me, whether it may not be fair, but I am lumping it as a movie as a whole. There were just a lot of moments in Justice League that were frustrating for me because I felt like they were missed opportunities and a bit of falling back on narrative dialogue that takes life away from some of these characters for me.
I'm going to put it ahead of 300, but behind the Morrissey video. That's what I think where I'm going to place it. I'm going to place it right now. I'm amongst his best work. But I guess a better question for you, Patrick, since you're already a fan of the universe, is what is your favorite Batman?
Oof. This is going to be controversial as well. My favorite Batman moment is the warehouse scene from Batman versus Superman. Like, that is raw. Like when I think Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns, and I look at that, I'm like, that he captured that. Like the brutality, like he straight up grabs a bad dude and like throws him. Is that like the best morally straight bet? Probably not. But for my money, like if I had to watch something on repeat, Warehouse Scene.
There, I mean, that's what you could say almost about the Robert Pattinson, where they showed him beating down that dude as in the preview to the new Batman, is kind of showing that brutality, right? And also, like, just as a comparison to like the Star Wars universe, I think the Darth Vader scene at the end of Rogue One is probably my favorite moment in all of Star Wars, probably because it shows Vader at peak powers. And Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie of all times when you get past the nostalgia, right? We can all agree to that. I thought it was a hot take, but now that I say it out loud, more people are like, yeah, if you're not talking about the nostalgia, then yeah, Rogue One is
the law.
By far the most impressive. All the just cinematically, like everything, it's a really good movie. What about you, Crystal? What's your favorite Superman representation for you?
Ever?
Yeah.
Ever? It's probably still going to be It's probably still going to be Christopher Reeve.
Okay.
With me completely admitting that this is a character that still needs to evolve, and that's a Superman that was best suited to that movie. That doesn't mean it's going to be the best iteration. It's certainly not going to be a Superman that would fit in today with good reason. But you had this perfect trifecta of an incredible actor with the perfect script at the time for the perfect Superman movie at the time. That kind of creates this amazing experience for people. And so far it hasn't been recreated for me.
Got it. Keith wants to ask Patrick how you would describe the difference between the two Supermans, Donner's versus Snyder's.
Oh, well, all right. So I feel like a lot of it has to do, like Crystal said, with the times. The Richard Donner, Christopher
Patrick,
Reeve,
I'm going to step away for 2 seconds while you answer that, okay? So guys, just keep going up.
Sure. I feel like the Christopher Reeve Superman is like the ideal, all is good, smiling, morally immovable, always does the right thing Superman. And as kind of like the temple film for superheroes, it's fantastic, right? Like that's the movie, like I said, like the Richard Donner's whole thing with that movie was verisimilitude, and like he achieved that. Okay, like you believed Christopher Reeve, you believed that he was flying, and it was just like I would say almost like golden agey, you know what I mean? Like, and for Cavill's Superman, I enjoy for a completely different reason. Like I feel like Snyder sat down with Goyer, and I think Nolan was there at the inception of it all, even before Snyder was involved. And they asked themselves a question, like, what would happen today in like 2010 when they started talking about it, if Superman came down and was a thing? And we don't live in 1970 whenever Superman came out, and there's a whole bunch of xenophobia, and the US government would probably not be thrilled to have like this old powerful person, and then that person, like Superman growing up in Kansas, would probably not have the rosiest upbringing. So I enjoy the take. It fit with the times. I also enjoy, like I think Henry Cavill did a fantastic job of like the physicality of it. I mean, he's like out of the comics Superman. Like
he put the work in.
Yep. Yeah, he put the work in, and each subsequent appearance, he's continued to do the thing. So I think those two things are the main things. It's like one was for the time of the 70s, all ideal, all golden age, and this one is more like today. What would happen? What is this like moral gray area thing doing to Superman? What if he had to choose between like saving humanity and killing the last of his kind? Like I felt that. I was just like, I know a lot of people were turned off by Superman killing Zod and Man of Steel. I was just like, oh, this makes perfect sense to me. He had to choose between humanity and the last Kryptonian, and he chose humanity, and that's at a cost. And maybe that's the genesis of him not killing it anymore. I don't know. Whatever. But get that. But I enjoy both of them. But I'm very happy with Cavill as Superman. Like I love that version.
I don't agree with him as 007 though.
I think it's Idris Elba or bust for me.
I mean, didn't we see it's a lot to take in with him. He's Superman. He's in The Witcher. He was in Mission Impossible, and then and then 007. And it's like, we got it. We get it. You go to the gym. Okay.
We get it. Get it. You're in shape. We get it. They didn't let you shave your mustache.
Oh, that was tragic.
Now, other things. Let me just clean up my notes here because I have a couple of bracket bits to do with you guys, and then I also, the Flash character. I guess the only bit of the comedy left was the Flash. Sort of, he took away the whole. I mean, and looking back at it, I watched a couple of the differences between the two Justice League videos, and I was like, okay, damn, I do remember a bunch of corny ass little jokes that they were trying to throw in there.
All of that in the cave, yeah.
To Whedonize it a little bit more. Now, we all remember that when Solo was being made as part of the Star Wars universe, they changed directors. They bring in an established director kind of because they don't feel like the dailies are looking good, or they're like, there's too many jokey jokes here. What do you think is a bigger what if? The Solo movie, if they still would have let the original directors do it, or Tim Burton's Superman?
Ooh.
Well, I'm going to say Tim Burton's Superman.
With Nick Cage as Superman with a script like Kevin Smith?
Again, something else that'll have like dissertations written on it for decades. That's a lot. That's a lot to take in.
Yeah. There's a whole documentary on it, right? Like John Snap.
And it just keeps getting weirder. Like the longer it's on, like you think, okay, how are they going to turn this into a documentary? They're going to you're like, oh my God, how did they not turn this into a documentary? This is so weird. Oh my goodness.
I was one of the few people that like Solo, so I kind of would have liked to see what it would have been that. But yeah, I agree. A Tim Burton Superman would have been it would have been a whole thing, to put it mildly.
Didn't I hear at some point they were having like the S symbol be like knives or something like that? Maybe that was some John Peters thing. Maybe that was like, because
I believe anything at this
point. I mean,
I've already had to go back and retcon in my, I don't want to say silly little, but I'm just trying to keep everything on like the reality plane right now. My fun little fan film, like I had to go back and retcon why Superman would take the S off of his chest and he would throw it at somebody. Yeah, see, right there. I have to go back and retcon why that would actually make sense for somebody to do that. And I did come up with an explanation, and it does actually work, but that took me decades to figure out. So at this point, between Tim Burton and Nicolas Cage and everybody else involved in that movie, I believe anything. I believe anything that they say was going to be in that movie.
That would have been insane. So I think Keithan's kind of a purist. Obviously, he's a comic book artist. Power Knight series, you can look him up. He's a featured artist at Comic-Con every year. I understand what you say, Patrick. I just feel the comics have already defined them, just like Captain America. That's what I'm looking for in the films. I guess you're looking for like you're looking for like a by the book adaptation. I guess a lot of these times when I have these conversations with people and like I'm interested in why they feel so strongly, it's usually because they have the comic book roots and they're they feel like their characters are being betrayed, right? But I try to look at it purely from a film viewer standpoint. So I guess that's why I'm just like, they changed this and this is his, or
But that's important because that's what studios have to think about as far as being able to make money.
It's almost like there's a whole, because I'm a little bit into gaming, so there's a whole warfare about like the next game, the Call of Duty game, this game, and whether the game should be geared for like professional gamers or whether they should be geared for casual gamers, because you want the grandpas on Sundays playing and keeping them happy to make the game easier for them, right? Why
can't you just make something good?
Yeah, but so it's like you got to make something that makes money, I guess, is the thing. They're like, good is not as important as money to them, right? So I think Marvel was like, we're gonna do both. We're gonna make it good and we're gonna make a shit ton of money. And
it is.
I mean, but what is it about Superman that causes these things though? Because the same thing happened to Donner, right? Like Richard Donner had a big fight with the Salkinds, and that's why Superman 2 was given to Richard Lester. And he came up with the whole shield thing and all of these other things. When the first movie is freaking perfect, like hindsight's 2020, of course. But and so eventually, 20 years later, we get the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2, right? And that was great. But you know, I found myself missing a couple of jokes in that too from the Richard Lester. But then fast forward to Bryan Singer, Superman Returns, overly deferential to the old stuff. Okay, was going to do some interesting things in the sequel. Never happened. Okay, not enough action. Fine, I get that. I think Brandon Routh. I feel bad for the guy because like he was great. He was great. He just got shafted by a bad script, or maybe a script that was lacking action. Let's put it that way. Right?
Kind of an unsellable script is what it seemed to be at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah.
So no sequels there. Man of Steel, very divisive. But then it also creates this whole thing with Warner Brothers where like, you know, they're like Man of Steel. Okay, then they pitch Batman versus Superman. Okay, we're on board with that. Batman versus Superman they mandate the 3-hour cut to be cut to 2.5 hours. And then the movie becomes rough with half an hour less. Like you watch the ultimate cut of Batman versus Superman and it seems shorter than the 2.5 hour cut because the editing's better, the scenes breathe better, there's additional character motivation. But that's a self-inflicted wound by Warner Brothers brass, right? Because they're like, cut it down because, you know, we need these many showings. Fine. So now then that loses further faith for Justice League. Okay. And now they're like, you know, Monday night quarterbacking, trying to change things last minute. And surprise, surprise, you know, we get 2017.
Yeah, Martha.
Right. So what is it about Superman that makes people lose their minds? Like,
well, to do a football analysis, sometimes the bosses want to feel responsible for the success of the players. You got to remember, man, in the 90s, the Cowboys won 2 Super Bowls, and then, you know, the owner, Jerry Jones, was like, I want more credit. I'm going to fire the coach, hire a new coach because it's all about me. So, I mean, it happens in all walks of life. The people at the top, like, hey, you know.
And it's never worked out.
And it
never worked out.
It has never been exactly what it was supposed to be, despite all of
Like I see this being studied in like film schools, like the Snyder cut, like just the difference in like a difference a director makes. Like,
and I was a fan of Superman Returns. I liked it. I liked it had Indy Darlene Parker Posey in it. You can't go wrong.
That was funny. And we'll ignore who was playing him, but
it was a camp. It was a camp.
But we like that Lex Luthor better. We just don't like the actor anymore.
It was a campy.
Totally fun.
It was a campy version. Now I had one other note about the actual film, which is the illusion inclusion. I mean, one of the things I really liked about the movie myself was, since I'm not a big comic book guy and I don't know a lot of these things going into it inherently, is more of the flashback stuff, more of the original battle, the time of gods. All that stuff felt really epic to me watching it, and I wish I would have gotten in. And I think I got just about the right amount of backstory. That those battles with the Amazonians, with the Green Lantern getting his hand chopped, the ring chopped off, and then the ring. I was like, hey, I get that reference. I understood that the ring is going to go find another dude. I was like, yes, I got that part. The initial battle with the Mother Box in the Thing, where they're sacrificing each other and like knockdown, that whole, all that stuff was really enjoyable to me. So I think that would have been my favorite. I think, how do you guys feel about the amount of Lantern you got? Do you think that I mean, because one of the things that plagues superhero movies, solo superhero movies and other types of superhero movies, especially the Marvel, which is don't ask too many questions, and the obvious question is like, why didn't you guys just call Iron Man? Or, you know, like, what, you know, like, so they try to like build these little things in where it's like, oh, this is the reason it's only this guy, it's because, you know, whatever. But do you think more Lantern, less Lantern would have been better for this particular film?
I feel more Lantern would have been better. And I think, and I go back to what I said earlier, you know, like more Lantern was planned. Maybe it wouldn't have paid off in battle, but like it would have made it like everything, the Martian Manhunter said to Bruce Wayne, like, that could have been John Stewart. That could have been Hal Jordan. That could have been both of them. That could have been Kilowog. That could have been Tom Henry. You know what I mean? Like, it could have been any large amount of lanterns. And also, I don't know if you guys saw, or because it happens really quickly in like that dystopian flashback. There's a shot where like Superman had just killed Kilowog.
We love Kilowog. Don't touch Kilowog.
I know, but
I'm like,
Kilowog. I want to see Kilowog now, you know. So definitely more lantern.
I will never forgive Snyder for what he did to boy reporter.
Jimmy Olsen.
Boy reporter Jimmy Olsen, turning him into a CIA agent. Yeah. That's when I was like, that's not the Superman I remember.
This is fascinating because there's clearly no Feige involved at this studio or equivalent of that. There is no real world building. It's like everybody's, even if you like the particular movie, when you look at everything, it's like everyone's playing catch up. Everyone's throwing another recipe into the pot. Everybody has another giant spider idea. Everybody has something else, but there doesn't seem to be any convergence of understanding the importance of the world building so that you can have your end game moment, which took all of this time and all of this organization to get to. You can't cut corners in that and expect the same payoff. So of course we would love to have some more Green. There's never too much Green Lantern as far as I'm concerned. There's never too much of Lantern Corps. That thing's just a gold mine. But that, again, this is kind of a lack of, there's a lot of stuff we would like to see that there's just as the world hasn't been built yet to support everything we could see in these moments. So a lot of stuff falls flat. And as an example, when you hear some of the characters speak, for me, because I am so obsessed with so much of the background that these characters have, one, what they just said doesn't make sense, or two, it feels like a missed opportunity because, well, wait, if you have this character, then they would know this person and they would understand this and they would have this. And so it's even more important that lack of world building, involved with the characters that they have, involved with the scenes that they have. And so we get a little bit, but we never quite get so much that we're satisfied. And that seems to be how I feel about every DC movie.
The thing is, like just playing devil's advocate for a second, like, what would have happened if we had actually followed through with the original plan for the DC extended universe, right? What would have happened? Okay, so you have Man of Steel, Batman v Superman. I forget the order of release. I think after Batman v Superman, we got Wonder Woman, then Justice League, then Aquaman, right? Okay, so you have somewhere. Right. So Wonder Woman, fantastic. Okay, she got her intro on BVS. Then we go back and flesh out her story. Fantastic. Then let's just, for argument's sake, say we get Zack Snyder's Justice League. Maybe a 3-hour cut, not a 4-hour cut. Okay, but with the same basic beats. At the end of that, you have an Aquaman movie that's consistent with this. That's another one taken care of. Okay, with that Lex Luthor scene at the end where he tells Deathstroke who Batman is. Then we get what was supposed to be a Ben Affleck directed Batman versus Deathstroke film. Who doesn't want to see that? Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke and Ben Affleck like that Batman from the warehouse duking it out in a warehouse. I want to see that, right? And so then follow up with that. There was an Atom movie that was pitched using Ryan Choi from the Snyder Cut that was meant to be all Asian cast. Okay, to try to tackle some of the Chinese market. Okay, so then we have the Atom. Then you have scratched the whole Martian Manhunter bit at the end. You have the original plan was for Kilowog and Tomare to be there. That was scrapped. But let's say Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan, be it Ryan Reynolds or not Ryan Reynolds, I don't care. Yeah. Leading into that Green Lantern Corps movie we were supposed to get, where it was like supposed to be Lethal Weapon, but in space. Then you have a Flash standalone movie by Rick Famuyiwa. Then you have Cyborg standalone movie following that storyline. And all of a sudden, you have something that's competing with Marvel. You have the Snyder Cut that comes 2 years before Infinity War, let alone Endgame. Okay, and we have a freaking universe. Okay, not everybody will love the universe, but that's world building. But who scrapped all of this?
Well, like Crystal said, Crystal, you were saying earlier that there's no phage at the studio, right? Is that kind of what it comes down to?
There's
no fight.
There's no fight. There's nobody running all of this, and every time they have an opportunity to build a world, they do exactly what you said. Something gets scrapped, they go back and change their mind. They try to fix it. They try to go back and do it, and it's like, well, you guys had a plan. Like, stick to it. Here's my other question to you, though. When we started all of this world building, we didn't have the first Avenger. We didn't have a Captain America. We didn't go back several decades and show the history. Where's the Justice Society? Where's the world that would explain why people wouldn't be terrified of Superman? Where's the world building that explains the decades of superheroes and lanterns and aliens and Starro, which is coming up in the next Suicide Squad movie, and everything else that would have built a world that we would believe a man could fly? Well, but that would have their own reaction to this. Like, that's if you're going to have the Green Lantern Corps, you need to have the Justice Society. It's decades of world building, and we got that with Marvel with just one movie that then flash forward to today. They didn't give us any of that.
Well, even if I feel like the first brick in that construction was Man of Steel, which was assuming, before they even thought about Batman versus Superman, Man of Steel was assuming that Superman was the first superhero. Then they decided to do Batman versus Superman, and then they were like, oh, okay, so we could just use a Batman that's been like doing this for the past 20 years. Like, that's the first time, and they were like, okay, we're going back on what we said.
Well, they're saying it comes out to like not enough planning, right? They're basically they're like, what would be cool to do? Well, there's this kind of dark, kind of older Superman series of books that people kind of like. Let's do that, right? But we also want to do an origin story again. But we also want to do this. So I think that they're like, you know what it reminds me of is the fact that there's the cohesion between the 3 Star Wars sequels. Mm-hmm. Because the directors just like didn't give a fuck about what the previous director had done. Yeah. That's sort of kind of like the equivalent, right? Because they're like, oh, we'll do this, and then we'll do this, and then we know who she is and know who she isn't.
And then we got to go back and fix it because like you messed it up.
Yeah.
All right, let me just catch up on comments, and then we're gonna wrap this up with a couple of bracket bits because we're talking live about Snyder Cut. We don't want to do 4 hours. We don't want to do 4 hours.
Hey, I'm game.
I know you guys could talk forever about this, and you guys say a bunch of stuff that just goes right over my head, and I'm just like, yeah, of course, I want to see that as well. Yeah, I totally know that. But I was proud of myself for getting the Green Lantern reference in that flashback, which I thought was, and I was like, oh wait. Oh, that's Ares. That's this. Oh, okay. I get it. It was fun. Okay. Catching up here. Keaton says, at the end of the day, Snyder's Cut did what it needed to do, reset expectations for the DCU. I can agree with that. Because if you see what's possible, then we can see kind of what's happening. I think they're just going movie to movie. What's hot? What's this? What's that? They're zigging and sagging. They're trying to play catch up on Marvel. They're like, Campy's back in? Can we go back to Campy? No, Campy's not back in. They still want dark and brooding with a little bit of fun thrown in. Oh, my God. They're all going their own way rather than collaborating. True. I have always loved Green Lantern. Would love to see a solo Green Lantern movie. I think we saw that, but it wasn't that. And I'm kind of out.
It's like saying we had a Hulk movie. No, we didn't.
You guys are forgetting that audiences were excited for these shows before they saw them. It was premeditated. I guess a little bit.
Or certainly from a lot of people. There, absolutely. Just like I said, I went into 300 knowing exactly what I was going to get into, so I was happy and I was good. Expectations are important, and as the other point that he made, it's reset expectations. Because if they were to come out with another movie like tomorrow, my expectations would be very low, and I might be prejudiced against the movie for that reason. That's just it happens.
I want to see a whole Amazon. I mean, I guess we've seen.
Yes.
I mean, we got about what like 30 minutes of Amazonian between all the times they showed it. Never enough. I want to see a whole
show. They need a show like right. The mascara show.
Okay, I got one more acting question for each of you, and then we're going to do a bracket bit here. Patrick, you can cast yourself and Latinize any DC character from a movie that hasn't been made yet.
Oh,
So
jeez.
give me a movie that's getting made and what character you're playing in it out of the DC universe. I'm not asking Crystal because she's already doing
we're
her own movie.
Latinizing. Is that what we're doing?
You have the ability. You can just.
Okay.
I mean, you can pick out of the multitude of Latinx characters that are there. There's so many Latinos for you to choose from, but don't just limit yourself to that abundance of Latino characters in the comic book world. Feel free to pick one that isn't.
Pick one that isn't. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to play any Green Lantern.
Okay.
That would be fantastic. I would love to play. Okay, so they did this animated movie where
I can see it happening. The Ringlands in Washington Heights.
Hey, there we go. No, but they did this animated movie where like it was like an Elseworld story, and Superman's dad ends up being General Zod, and he lands in Mexico as opposed to in the United States, and he becomes like a Mexican Superman.
Okay.
That was fantastic. I'd be game for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so you act in the original Justice League. Josh Whedon gets not Josh Whedon. Snyder gets $70 million and finishes cut. If you are an actor in that movie, do you get paid again
For the days that you work.
just for the reshoots, right? But not for the footage that they release as a separate movie, right?
Well, I think that was part of the reason.
You get a little. You get at least like a free subscription to HBO Max or something.
I should hope so. Right? I think that's one of the reasons they didn't release it as different chapters was because they would have had to renegotiate contracts and they didn't want to do that.
It depends. I'm curious what the contract said because sometimes reshoots are in your contract.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, true.
Yeah.
And they didn't make I guess who were the most extensive reshoots were for what?
There was just the additional photography was only the stuff in the Nightmare at the end with Joker. That was it.
Okay.
Yeah, Jared Leto.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Leto. For like 2 seconds. And like again, that's kind of where it feels like a flex because he was just like, this is what I would have done. Like, and hey, that was the whole point. I understand that. All right, now it's time for a segment I like to call Should I Buy This T-Shirt? Should I buy this T-shirt? It's a pussy riot. I like wearing black T-shirts with like little things. It says, "Yeah, sex is cool, but have you ever fucked the system?"
Okay, just for the saying.
Okay,
absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely read that. Yeah,
and it supports Pussy Riot. So
there you go.
Okay, yeah.
The only problem is that 2XL is a little bit prohibitive for me. If it was 3XL, I could will my way to it. I'm still a couple of months away from it. Yeah. All right. This is another cool shirt that I found. So here's the question: should I buy this shirt?
Ooh.
It's a Dr. Michigan Eminem Watchmen inspired graphic. So it's Eminem as
I mean, I could dig it. I like it.
I can see that. That's a good conversation starter.
Yeah.
I try to wear a different, interesting shirt on the stream every time. So I just like, I don't know. It's an Eminem, but like the Watchmen. All right, guys. So something I like to do with all my guests is something that I like to call bracket bit. That is where I give you guys two options, and you guys tell me whether or not which of the ones move on. Since I have two of you here, give me a second here. I am going to do. Give me 1 second here. Make sure I got the right one up. All right. I have two separate ones, so you guys can attack these together as a team, or I can give one of you guys each a different one, and the other one can commentate. You guys want to go solo on it?
We can
you pick.
You can do solo. That way there's no ties, because if there's ties, I have to be the tiebreaker.
Okay.
I'm gonna let Crystal pick. All right. And the reason for the bracket bit is just because if there's something that I didn't want to bring up, but then I mentioned it here. So if any of the things that I say leads you to like a point or something, feel free to expand on it. Okay. So you're gonna have the choice of the two bracket bits, Crystal. I got one that is. Give me 1 second here. I have DC characters versus DC movies. So I have a bracket bit that's all DC property movies up against each other, or I have one that's all DC characters. Oh, not all, just the ones that I picked battling against each other. Which one would you want to do?
Do the characters.
DC characters? All right, that means that, Patrick, you're going to do the movies, all right?
All right.
All right, cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for...
Bracket bit.
I've been enjoying the faces Crystal makes when she sees my graphics and during my intro as well. I gotta say,
Like, all I have is you're such a nerd. That's all I have going through. Like, you're such a nerd.
I said I want something. I told my boy Kurt and Jovi, and I said I need a song for my bracket bit thing, and I want it to sound kind of like the Wayne's World, like Wayne's World. They're like record.
Wait.
They're like record something. So I did that in one take. I said this is kind of what I want, and then they made the music for it. All right, so we're
really would have never guessed.
Hey, who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk it? Oh, you'll enjoy this one, Crystal. So we our film, just a side story here. Our film that got into the Latino Film Festival is called The Bicycle Thief, El Ladrón de Bicicletas, and I'm in it. I do a cameo. So when we were shooting this, the scene that I did, we were shooting a bunch of scenes in the same house, and I had all my actors in the kitchen. So I could have shot their scene that has like 7 like solo shots of people because it's part of an intervention. Or I could have shot my scene first, which was separate, but was taking place in the same place in the house. So what I decided is, because I got a little bit of chops in the acting world, is I was going to do my scene first, and I got my scene done in 2 takes, a wide and a mid. So as I'm watching and telling them, I'm like, hey, anybody count how many takes that was? It was just a 1 take. Oh, okay. So I knew that the rest of the 2 AM Burrito crew was in the kitchen, and they were like seething, like, oh, Lou, you think you're such a good actor? I'm going to show you. So then, boom, we finished my scene. We go in, we filmed their scenes, and they all crushed it. Like every one of them, like boom, boom, 1, 2 takes. So that's, you don't always have to motivate with praise people. Sometimes you just got to make the whole team hate you. And as long as they're together and hating one person, they will work hard.
They are unified.
So, motivational direction by Lou Martinez on the next book. All right, here we go. Feel free to comment along the way. Patrick, the bracket bit is created by me as a science experiment for you to decide. I pick the names, you pick the outcome. The reasoning behind your choices is up to you. You can say which one of these characters would win in a fight, which one you'd rather play in a movie, which one you'd rather go out to lunch with, etc. I don't care. But you're the one that's making the decision, all right? All right, the burst bracket bit is going to, and it's DC characters. All right, the first question, let me get all of us here on the screen, is Superman versus Amanda Waller, which is kind of a frustrating character because that scene in Suicide Squad where she like shoots everybody and then they're like,
yeah.
And then I'm like, do you always train like a bunch of new tech guys every time because you're constantly murdering them? What was the point of that other than just to show me that you're an ad at this?
Oh. It's just a strange matchup because and that part did not do Amanda Waller justice.
Mm-hmm. Every time I say that, somebody says that though, like, oh, she's a more complex character, she's a badass, and this and that, and all the other things.
She is. So, but we'll go off the movie one in that case. Well, if it's dollars to donuts, that both of the comic book characters, I'm gonna give that one to Superman.
All right, it's a first round matchup. So Amanda Waller, just the fact that she was on a conversation is good. All right, next character is the Martian Manhunter, Marvin the Martian Manhunter, which will be my next year's Comic-Con cosplay. Don't steal that. I mean, obviously,
is there going to be a Comic-Con?
There might be a 3-day one in November, but hopefully by full force. I'm like, does that count to like my pro pass? Do I have to like resubmit early? Resubmit early now? All right, but Marvin the Martian Manhunter versus Catwoman.
Yeah, Martian Manhunter.
Martian Manhunter. Nightwing or Harley Quinn.
Nightwing can be distracted, and Harley Quinn is used to always being distracted. So she'll take this one, Harley Quinn.
All right, and Aquaman who I mistakenly said on a podcast a bunch of years back, and a dude got really mad at me. Who I always thought was like, Aquaman, what the hell is he about? Versus Killer Croc. This is an underwater battle.
Oh, yeah. Aquaman.
Aquaman.
Easy.
Aquaman.
Cyborg or the Joker?
I'm gonna give that one to Cyborg. I think Cyborg was actually capable of ending that one.
Okay.
Like ending it if he had to.
All
Quickly.
the cleverness couldn't get Joker past Cyborg, right?
Mm-mm.
Batgirl versus Enchantress.
Mm.
God, my first question is which Batgirl?
Hmm.
If it's Barbara Gordon, like especially if we think about when she was just Batgirl, Enchantress would have won.
So Batgirl? Okay, got it.
No, Enchantress.
Enchantress. All right, I got it. All right.
Yeah.
I forgot to write this out, but this is Bizarro Superman, which I do remember reading Bizarro Superman. I used to like it. It's one of the few comics that I collected from back in the day. But Bizarro versus Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
Deathstroke versus Robin.
Dick Grayson Robin.
Hey, that's up to you. I don't get that geeky.
If it's Dick Grayson Robin, I mean either way, that is an old wound.
Yeah.
Deathstroke usually wins that one.
Yeah.
All right. Green Lantern versus Green Arrow.
Oof.
Which is one of the best comic books ever written. One of the best ever written.
Wait, Green Lantern versus Green Arrow is a thing? I did not know that.
Oh, it's an amazing comic book series. If you ever just buy the collection of it, it's one of the best. You know what?
Write that down though.
Goodness gracious, Green Lantern.
Green Lantern.
Bane.
What did you say, Patrick?
I said full-heartedly agree with every choice you've made so far.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever need to phone a friend, you can ask Patrick what his opinion is.
No, she's fine. That's fine.
All right. Oh, I love doing my Bane voice, but then it turns into like a different voice.
Crab
So I don't want to, something like that. But Bane, which apparently is Latino, I didn't realize Bane was Latino. Versus Flash.
Flash. He just has to rip the thing off.
And apparently, this is not a Flash hat. This is what is this from?
Shazam.
Shazam. Right.
Shazam.
There you go. I was like,
He's right.
I bought hats from a place, so they sent me a free one, and they're like, we had an extra hat, size 8, and they're like, okay. I'm like, hey, I got a Flash hat. They're like, no, that's a Shazam hat.
And I got Marvel, not Shazam.
Yeah.
Deadshot versus the Riddler.
Deadshot.
Batwoman versus Scarecrow.
Batwoman.
Now that's a what if for me. If Howard Stern would have played Scarecrow, I would have liked to see that. What movie was that supposed to be in? Is that like in? Was that like in?
Is that one of Tim Burton's?
Yeah, was it? I think if there was been like another Tim Burton, there would have been
Joel Schumacher's.
That might have been more it, but that would have liked to see. All right, Black Lightning versus Supergirl.
No. It's Supergirl, not Power Girl, so Black Lightning.
All right. Darkseid or Penguin?
Always Darkseid.
Darkseid. There's no way that Penguin is outrunning the Omega Beam. It's not going to happen.
No. El Diablo versus Gorilla Grodd.
Oh.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Fire versus power. And
fire. It's the brain, but El Diablo's no idiot. So I'm gonna give that one to El Diablo because I don't think Gorilla Grodd would see him coming. I don't think he would. He would just underestimate him because he underestimates everybody.
And everybody's favorite,
except himself.
Yeah, El Diablo. Poison Ivy versus Batman. I mean,
it's gonna be Batman, but by the skin of his teeth.
All right. Moving on to the second round here. We got El Diablo versus Batman.
All right, it's Batman.
Batman. Black Lightning or Darkseid?
Darkseid.
Deadshot or Batwoman?
Oof.
Bracket bid is for science.
Are we in the first act of the movie or the second act of the movie?
Ooh.
That's where I'm thinking. It's like, oh.
Good question.
Good question.
Let's say it's the second. It's the second bracket, so it's the second act.
Okay.
So we're gonna give that one to Deadshot.
Deadshot and
Yeah.
the Green Lantern versus the Flash. This is a good one, I think.
That's a
This
good
is a tough.
matchup.
This is a tough second
That's
round
a good
matchup.
match. That's a good match.
It's a tough second
Oh.
rounder.
Green Lantern versus the Flash. You have more experience. I'm gonna give this one to the Green Lantern. Yeah.
What is it? What if it was a fresh Lantern played by Patrick Michael, who just discovered the rings, walk with a green ring that sticks to himself when he walks towards the bodega.
All he has to do is get him in the box once.
You said
That's
Lantern,
all you
right?
gotta-
You said
yeah,
Lantern.
Lantern.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Deathstroke or
Boxing.
Wonder Woman?
Wonder Woman.
How are we feeling about WW84 though? By the way.
Mm,
No.
No. It was
you know what? I wanted to like it a lot more than I actually
We did. We went in with a lot of hope. I went in with a lot of hope.
Like I like the Wonder Woman from the first one. I like more of a warrior Wonder Woman than a peacemaker Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I like that take. All right. Cyborg versus Enchantress.
Huh. That's an interesting match between the two of them. I'm gonna give that one. I just don't think Enchantress would have nearly the power against him she thinks she does. I'm gonna give that one to Cyborg.
Yeah. A lot of this.
That would have been a good matchup between Enchantress and Wonder Woman, though.
I was thinking of that. Would set up an interesting one. All right. Harley Quinn or Aquaman?
It's gonna be Aquaman at the end of the day.
I'd like to see. I
would
can see
like
that
to
on
see
a poster. Harley Quinn versus Aquaman.
Yeah, it would be interesting, but I think at the end of the day, Aquaman would. Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. He's got it.
These guys can both fly.
Damn, that's a good matchup right there.
Superman or Martian Manhunter?
Oh God. Well, okay. So.
What are the powers? I mean, I don't know anything about Martian Manhunter. What kind of powers does he have?
He can't do fire.
But he can get in your head.
He can, and Superman has heat vision. So.
However, I'll say this before you make your decision. Superman is on record saying that the person he would most fear fighting in the league is
Martian Manhunter. Absolutely, that would be the hard one. So that's also the one he's going to be the most prepared.
That's true.
Not with somebody one he's thought about the most. So the really question is if this is a surprise fight or if this is a prepared battle. Like I have to go through all these scenarios. Like, well, if this person did this, they would win. But if they did this, they would lose. But if they did, it's.
I respect your process here. I respect your process.
Yeah. While Martian Manhunter has all of these powers, it depends. So let's assume that they're matched up because they're both under mind control. Let's assume that it's that thing.
Okay.
So if it's that and it's not personal and it wasn't thought out or pre-planned, Superman will probably have an advantage. So I'm going to give that one to Superman.
Man of Steel, not her favorite movie, but he moves on.
I didn't say I didn't like the character.
All right. And now after all that, another league battle. Maybe Darkseid just is controlling all their minds and is making them just fight each other for fun.
There we go.
Who knows?
There we go. Yeah.
But Superman versus Aquaman.
I'm gonna give that one.
And it's drizzling. It's drizzling.
It's drizzling. There's a little bit of water outside.
Just a little bit of water.
A little bit of water.
He's damp. They got damp hair. It's a little damp outside.
His uniform, he took it out of the dryer like 10 minutes early. So it's like he's not like super like okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna give that one to Superman.
Right, Cyborg versus Wonder Woman, I think, is an incredible matchup. That looks like that would be.
That's going to be another level. So we're with mind control, so it is to the death. You know what?
I like how I told Crystal, I do the bracket, you decide it, you build your own parameters, and she built like this whole universe where they're battling to the death and they're under mind control. That's awesome.
Think Flashpoint paradox.
Yes. Well, that one time, all of the women in the Justice League, it did end up having to fight Wonder Woman, who was under mind control, and it was bad. It was like, oh, we're screwed. Yeah. Don't die. Whatever you do, don't die. It was a great episode.
Yeah.
Okay, so Cyborg versus Wonder Woman. I'm actually seeing a scenario where, and I'm also pulling away from, like, they did the breakdown of how each hero could be destroyed. And one of them was just Wonder Woman would fight to exhaustion. She would just keep fighting until finally even her body gave out. And if there was anyone who would have more staying power than her, it would probably be a robot. So
Yeah.
I think she could lose this one. I'm going to give this one to Cyborg.
Cyborg. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that robs us of the Superman versus Wonder Woman matchup, but Superman versus Cyborg.
We already know the outcome of that one. We already know. That's okay. That's not a question. We know the outcome to that one. Superman's going down.
Green Lantern versus Deadshot.
Lantern.
It's Green Lantern.
All right, and Darkseid. Well, I guess we didn't get a chance to do it. I don't know why I keep saying it like that, but Darkseid versus Batman.
Batman can outrun the Omega Beam. Batman usually beats Darkseid, and with good reason. I'm going to give that one to Batman.
This is an interesting one. Batman versus Green Lantern. The Ring versus the Billionaire.
Who's got the best toy?
What's more important? A ring that can fulfill your fantasies, or just being super rich?
Unless he, and I agree with that. Unless you can take away Hal Jordan's will to do everything, he can't match up against him, and he knows it. Like he knows he can't. So we're gonna say, however, if you're under mind control, it's not your will. So this is an interesting one. If we're doing mind control, maybe we will. I don't know.
It's up to
we
you.
like to say Batman could outsmart everyone, but the fact is he can't always win, and he doesn't always win.
Did you watch that animated though? That animated one where like Batman meets Green Lantern for the first time and like figures out that
he took the ring.
He just literally
took the ring from him.
That was hilarious. I love that scene.
Yeah, but you're also dealing with kind of like a young punk. I mean, God, there's a million scenarios for this one.
I should have been more precise with my lantern choice, but
no, because it is. I have to like pull everything. If it's Guy Gardner, he's going down. If it's Hal Jordan, it depends on how experienced is Hal Jordan at this point. If it's Jon Stewart, that's a whole nother level. No,
What if it's Val Kilmer Batman? Huh?
He didn't even make it to the second act. Then all right. I'm gonna give this one to Batman.
All right, Batman. All right. I'm looking at the wrong screen here, like a dumbass. All right. If it was Batman versus Iron Man, Patrick, who would have won?
That's a good matchup, actually. Both rich.
Love to
both
see it.
brilliant.
I want to see it.
I would love to see that. I would love to see that.
Once Disney owns everything, then they'll do a crossover movie.
We'll do the crossover.
Yeah. When Disney owns everything, and they'll just be like, yeah,
we could do the DC versus Marvel thing.
Yeah, Batman versus Iron Man. Yeah, absolutely. But I want Ghostface to play Iron Man though. You got it, Piley, Patrick, right? Come on, man. Okay. All right. So now we're in the final. Batman. I mean, I think they made a movie about this, but Superman or Cyborg? Who's moving on? I'm sorry, Crystal. You said.
Gonna give that one to Superman.
All right, and they made a movie about this.
Yeah, they did.
They did make a movie about this at some point. So again, the bracket is created for maximum pain and scientific purposes, and you've bravely pushed through it with your own scientific methods. So now it is time for you to make the final decision. At the end of the day, it is Superman versus Batman.
Of course it is.
What an easy matchup.
Right. Shit. Every time I play out this scenario with and bear in mind, I'm almost 40 years old. So when I'm going through all these iterations, I think of a more mature Batman and Superman. When it comes to actually winning the fight, it's going to be Superman. If he's in the fight, this is it. It's the final fight. Superman's thought about this just as much as Batman has. Batman's going to go down. It's Superman.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I don't fault your logic. So, I mean, who would have thought the Man of Steel, the guy from another planet that gets power from our sun, right? That's still the thing. He still gets power from the sun.
Sure is.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's it. Well, we got the winner we thought we were going to bid, but I do like doing the bracket bit because I did really enjoy your logic and and your reasoning. I love the fact that you brought it down to a versus fight and not just like, I like their uniform better. Well, uniform. I'm still thinking sport. And I'm against the green. Anyway, all right. Now the foot is on the other shoe, so to speak, Mr. Patrick. And we're gonna knock through this one for you. And this time you're gonna be deciding between DC movies. Now there were some DC properties that I didn't really know were DC, like The Road to Perdition. Was based on an old graphic novel or something, and a couple of A History of Violence was also like technically a DC property, but I stuck to like the comic booky kind of movies and stuff like here. Again,
Thank you.
the bracket is
worried there for a second. I was like, oh.
all right. But we're gonna get started right now with your bracket, which is about DC movies. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. In the first round, we have The Dark Knight, which I have ranked number 1, versus the Green Lantern movie.
Oh, Jesus. Like,
with Ryan Reynolds. Again, I don't necessarily, sometimes the pain is intentional, sometimes it's unintentional.
look, I'm gonna go a little unorthodox on this one, and just this one's gonna win on which one's the better movie, and it's clearly The Dark Knight.
All right, so you're gonna, this is because it's about movies, so you are right in that reasoning. I appreciate that. All right, The Dark Knight. It's ranked number 1 for a reason. It's a heavy favorite here. Shazam, which I'm wearing the hat for, or WW84.
Jesus.
I kind of enjoyed Shazam.
I did too. I'm not gonna lie. Like the whole Shazam thing, was not seeing that happening, and then it happened. I was like, okay, I enjoy this film. You know what?
Side question: should I watch The Boys?
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely watch The Boys.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the show that Lex Luthor would produce to get his point across.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely watch The Boys.
Yes.
Okay. Should I watch it before or after Karate Kid?
Oh, Cobra Kai.
Yeah, Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai is good, but watch The Boys.
Right.
Yeah.
Boys first. All right.
Yes.
Shazam or WW84?
Well, you know what? I'm looking ahead and I'm seeing Wonder Woman, the movie, down there. So I'm going to pick Shazam on this one.
Don't look. You're going to make me...
Oh, no. I should have kept my mouth shut. Kept my rationale to myself.
All right. We got the... all right, I'm just kidding. All right. We got the Donner cut, the mysterious Donner cut of Superman Deuce, or the Snyder cut.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Snyder cut. It's nice and new and shiny, and I'm loving it.
Birds of Prey or Batman Returns?
Batman Returns, I think. I mean, I like Birds of Prey. It was fine, but I found it I wanted more out of Canary. Like, not that what's her name? Journey Smollett did anything wrong. Like, I would just like to see more of her.
Michelle
and
Pfeiffer.
I would have preferred Harley to be more Suicide Squad-y than she was. I don't know. Like, let's just say
it's a very different movie.
It really is. It's
so weird.
So Batman Returns.
Plus Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yes. Oh, have you guys seen that behind the scenes?
Yeah, she knocks out all the heads. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Yes.
She ate that bird too. I just want to make that clear. What? That bird was in her mouth.
Oh yeah. Okay. Tim Burton's Batman or Suicide Squad?
Tim Burton's Batman.
Tim Burton's Batman. You had me worried there for a second.
Well, no, you know what? The thing is, I enjoy Suicide Squad, but I would like to see, now that we've seen the Snyder cut, I'd like to see the Ayer cut. Like, I think that there was a better movie there as well.
I think there's also a bunch of people that were like, "Hey, I had a cut that was right. Hey, if you guys are releasing the cuts, yeah, my movie didn't suck. There's a better cut out there." I mean, wouldn't you automatically sort of say that though?
Well, the thing is, I know that they took his movie and they gave it for editing to a video, like a music video production company.
Yeah.
So that's a fact. So like, I'm like, if I watch a David Ayer movie and then I watch Suicide Squad, I'm like, there's definitely a better movie of this here somewhere. And also, Jared Leto was so upset at how much Joker they cut out of the movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to see that.
For that, I do want to see the extra Joker stuff. Okay, you might have a point there. All right, Batman the movie. This is the campy original Batman movie, or Catwoman with Halle Berry.
Okay, I can't do so much camp as Batman the movie, even though it was fun for the time. I'm gonna go with Catwoman. I mean, it was also a terrible movie, but Halle Berry. So
Swamp Thing or Watchmen.
I'm gonna pick Watchmen. I mean,
I didn't hate Watchmen.
Yeah, I enjoyed Watchmen, and I enjoyed the director's cut of Watchmen even better.
It was even longer. Holy shit!
But it was better. It was better. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. Snyder's longer cuts are usually much better. Like they make him cut the movie to a theatrical release time, but his storytelling is better in long form.
You're talking to a guy who just made a short that was inspired by the Thin Red Line. So I'm all for the 3.5, 4 hour movie. Trust me.
Me too.
But when it's necessary, I'm just kidding. When it's necessary. All right, Batman Forever versus Batman Begins.
Batman Begins. That was a good reinvention right there. I love that movie.
Wonder Woman versus The Losers.
I got to give it to Wonder Woman. I mean, more Amazons always. More
Losers
Amazons,
a little underrated. The Losers.
I agree. I enjoy The Losers. It's just this going up against Wonder Woman. So what can we do?
Aquaman versus Jared Leto's King of Comedy. I mean, Joker.
You put me in a tough spot here. I like both of those a lot.
Well, it's not Jared Leto movie, the other Joker movie.
The Joaquin Phoenix one.
Joaquin Phoenix is
Yeah, I mean, he did win Best Actor for that. Like you got to go with the Joker.
Thank you for stopping by, Jason. Rumor has it there's an entirely different Batman Forever cut out. Released a Schumacher cut.
Yeah, I heard that one too.
And the weirdest one was the Mrs. Doubtfire NC-17 cut, which I think is ridiculous. There's no way that you have to like show full penetration to like get an NC-17 cut. Like Brown Bunny is an NC-17. Yeah. I don't think there could have been a Mrs. Doubtfire movie.
There's that NC-17 Showgirls out there too, isn't there?
Oh yeah, but that's Showgirls. But I mean,
I know.
How much improvising on set could he have done to make it NC-17? Hard R, I admit. Unless he was doing like racist jokes or something. Who knows? Who knows Robin Williams? All right. Anyway. All right. So this is Joker versus Aquaman.
Yeah, but that one hurt. Joker. That one hurt me.
Supergirl. The original Supergirl movie versus Lego Batman.
No.
I mean, Lego Batman was fun. Supergirl was fun too, but I'm like, oh, there's too much magic-y stuff. Yeah, let's just go with Lego Batman.
Lego Batman. Teen Titans Go to the Movies or Batman v Superman.
What do you think I'm going to pick out of this one? The Snyder stand is going to pick Batman versus Superman.
I think if I ask Crystal the question, I might get a different answer than you on this.
Probably. But it's
not my bracket though. It's not my bracket.
It's not your bracket. She made the choice.
Before the Snyder cut, that was my favorite. So
here we go. Batman versus Superman. All right, Dark Knight Rises or Constantine.
Good one.
Jeez. You know what?
But we are the uninitiated. Sons of, what is it? The League of Shadows.
All right. So, you know what? I already have Dark Knight up there, and I went to the premiere here in Mexico City of Constantine when it came out, and got to meet Keanu Reeves. So Constantine gets this one.
Keanu won that one. Yeah, nice. Keanu won that one.
Yeah.
Lego Movie versus Man of Steel.
Man of Steel, easy.
Batman, Mask of the Phantasm versus Batman and Robin.
Yeah, again. Mask of the Phantasm, hands down.
All right.
Yes.
Superman Returns or Original Superman?
Original Superman. The originator.
The original Donner cut. All right. And then moving on to the next one, we got the Dark Knights It's probably one of the which is probably the most iconic Joker performance, or Shazam.
I mean, The Dark Knight's a better movie.
Better
Period.
movie.
Yeah.
Snyder Cut versus Batman Returns.
Snyder Cut.
Batman Tim Burton versus Catwoman.
Oh, Batman Tim Burton. Easy.
Watchmen or Begins.
Ooh. You know what? I'm gonna go with Watchmen. I enjoyed Watchmen. It's not necessarily that Begins is not better than Watchmen, but out of that trilogy, I feel like, you know, Dark Knight is the definitive one. So I'm gonna give Watchmen a pass on this one.
Joker or Wonder Woman.
See, what are you doing to me?
That is engineered to cause pain.
Yeah, this one's painful too.
This for scientific purposes only. Do not attempt this on your own podcast or stream. Copyright 2 a.m. Burrito.
I feel
Fireside
trapped
Chat.
by this one. I feel trapped by this one.
Take us behind your thought process. Jared Leto. They got the stairs.
See, okay,
You
like,
got the Wonder Woman, the female power, the Amazonians, but then you got
Amazons.
I'll tell you what.
Amazon. Sorry,
No,
Amazons.
no. If I have to choose like a single moment that like just had me in awe out of these two movies, like the No Man's Land scene wins. Like that was like Wonder Woman becoming Wonder Woman. The Joker was fantastic. I love that movie, but like it almost scarred me. Like I was like, so it was like great in a painful kind of way. I'm gonna go with like awesomeness and hopefulness in this one and give it to Wonder Woman.
I guess my decision on these would be it's like, which movie would I watch right now?
I would watch Wonder Woman over Joker right now.
Okay.
I want to be happy. You know, I want to be
Lego Batman or Batman v Superman.
Batman v Superman one more time.
Constantine or Man of Steel.
Man of Steel one more time.
Batman Mask of the Phantasm versus Superman, the original. This is a tough one right here.
That is a tough one.
Crystal will be judging you based on your decision.
I will not. There is an argument for both of those.
See, either way, I'm screwed because I'm going to go ahead and choose Superman the movie, and then in the next round, I'm screwed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you are.
Man, this is a tough one, man.
In the
I
next
guess.
round, I am screwed. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm happy with my choice.
All right, so let's go back to the top of the key here. We got the Dark Knight, Nolan Dark Knight trilogy versus the Snyder Cut. That opening scene in Dark Knight with the Joker and like the fucking like the time clock and how they made Pittsburgh look like New York. That was awesome. I don't know, man. I love the Dark Knight. That's one of my favorite movies. The Snyder Cut I enjoyed, but I don't know what the decision is here for yourself. You know, how much do you love it versus what is clearly, I think, a better movie here. But that's your prerogative, Patrick.
I mean, I'm gonna tell you what. Like for me, it's not. It should be more difficult than it is. But I feel like a personal stake in the Snyder Cut. Okay, like I feel like
this is the stubbornness kicking in.
No. Had this whole thing not happened during the pandemic, I would be sitting in New York with my associate producer's shirt from the Release the Snyder Cut campaign. Okay, like I would. That's how hard we went on this. Like, you know, November 19th tweeted up a storm. May 20th celebrated with the world that they said they were going to release it. So I'm gonna have to go with the Snyder Cut. I'm
just pointing out that at the beginning you said I'm gonna go by what is clearly the better movie, and The Dark Knight is clearly a better movie than the Snyder Cut. Clearly.
That was between The Dark Knight and Green Lantern.
Okay, so between round 2 and 3, I'm gonna give it to Crystal on this one because she kept her process scientific and she said, I'm going with the fight. All right. This is
I'm going with the feeling on this one and the personal stake for sure.
All right, I got you. I'm just wanted to point that out for the record.
I agree. I'll take the criticism.
Okay,
I'll
That's all right. Hey, man, don't worry about it. As I respect your gangster. All right, Batman, Tim Burton or Watchmen?
Ooh. Damn, dude. Watchmen. I know.
Watchmen.
I know.
Watchmen.
I know.
The man has drank
I
the
know.
Kool-Aid.
I know.
He has gotten the tattoo.
If there was any doubt if I was a Snyder fan whatsoever,
These
it
last
has been resolved.
guys, yeah, okay, all right, man. This is your. Like I said, I create it, you solve it,
Dude.
All right,
like your bracket is hurting my brain right now. Just want you to know, these next two are hurting me. They're hurting me.
Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, Batman v Superman.
All right.
Henry Cavill.
No, it's not even that. I'll tell you what. Wow, damn. All right, so this is what's going through my mind right now.
Take me
right?
behind your process, man.
I chose Wonder Woman in the previous round because of the No Man's Land scene, right?
Mhm.
But Batman vs Superman has arguably the single greatest entrance by any superhero in any movie, which is Wonder Woman saving Batman's ass from Doomsday when she comes down and just like blocks him, and like you got the little those are both Wonder Woman moments.
So Wonder Woman full film or Wonder Woman cameo, I guess is the question. Go ahead, Crystal.
I'm gonna go. You know what?
What was your thought process, Crystal?
I was just gonna say which one had the Amazons in it.
There you go.
No, that's true. That's true. You know what? I know there's a lot of Zack Snyder in my bracket, so I'm gonna go with Wonder Woman in this one. Maybe.
We won him over.
Hey, Mr. Westbrook here checking in, says he likes that as well. And then on the bottom bracket here, this is a tough one for you. This is going to be a tough one for you because we got the original Man of Steel versus a movie technically called Man of Steel.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go nostalgic on this one. Okay. And I'm gonna tell you guys why. Like, first of all, I'm older than I look. So I remember being a kid and my dad buying Superman the movie in reels, 3 reels that I still have downstairs. And he would put that bad boy on for me after kindergarten every day. Okay. So for nostalgia's sake, for being the introduction into my superhero loving life, I'm gonna give this one to Superman the movie.
Got it. This is an incredible Final Four. As Burt Sugar told Tom Cruise's character in that movie, right? As Jerry Maguire. He says, "This is a nice moment for you. I'm going to let you have it." You got so you got Final Four here. Patrick, Michael, Valley, actor. You can see him in something coming up next year, right? I mean, yes. you're gonna get back into it, man. I need to see you acting in something. If I get to direct one of these movies, I'll put you guys both in this.
Yeah.
The choice is yours here. The Snyder cut, fresh in your mind. Watchmen, both Snyder movies.
It's gonna be the Snyder cut for me.
It's gonna be the Snyder cut. This seemed like an easy one for you.
Between those two, it's easy for me.
All right, and then look, this final 3, you couldn't go wrong with any of these 3 movies here as being your favorite in the DC universe. You know, we could have mixed this up a bunch of times, and it probably would have come out something similar. So, Wonder Woman, Superman.
Superman was my in, man. Like Superman was my in. Like you can't
all right, can't knock it. All right,
can't knock it.
So the final in this bracket bit, as we wrap up this fireside chat, where we focus on the Snyder cut, where we talk to Crystal all the way from Georgia, Patrick's joining us from Mexico City. Thank you everybody that's watched, asked, and commented. Appreciate all the love. Make sure that you guys are subscribing to whatever you're watching, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or just go to the brand new. Let me just do a little promotion here for the channel, Mr. Patrick. While you think about your decision, go to the brand new redesigned 2amburrito.com. Where you can see our motto, never on schedule. Oh, you want to know more about me? You can go to the biography page and see something about me and my writer, Brian, and where we started. Oh, you want to see our filmography? There you go. Here's some posters and stuff. Boom. Oh, we got this. Oh, yeah, look, you want laurels? I got laurels. All you want. You want to know about our podcast? There it is, the Two and Burrito podcast. You can see all the old episodes. So make sure, just look for Two and Burrito, go there. And if you go to twoandburrito.com, it'll take you to the link to all our social media so you guys can catch up on everything, listen to the podcast, et cetera, et cetera. That being said, we got business to attend to. And the business, and I'm in the business of giving you the business. And the business is the Snyder Cut versus the original Superman. That movie you watch with your dad.
Damn, dude.
As a kid every day after kindergarten. Or the movie you vested, that you feel like you're a producer, that you made this movie happen. This is the entry point, and this is the payoff. Butting heads against each other. And the decision is yours, Patrick.
Whew, okay, so this is a hard decision, okay? Because, for all the reasons I already did. I'll say this. Okay, I'll say this. If my dad were still with us and I had one movie to show him that I would like to show him from after he's been gone, it'd probably be the Snyder Cut.
Wow.
He's already seen Batman, like Superman. He's already, we saw that. That I would like to share with him. So I'm going to pick the Snyder Cut.
You think he would like it?
I think he would love it. I actively remember, like, one of my feelings watching the Snyder Cut mirrored Cyborg's story. Like, he loses his dad in that. And, like, I was just like, oh, this would have been great. Like, my dad would have loved this film. Like, would have absolutely loved this film.
Patrick, you have redeemed yourself from your shoddy decisions earlier on in the bracket. Because you have allowed the sentimental heartstrings to come through, and you've done it for a real reason. I am forgiving you, and I believe now that this bracket is valid. It is decided. It is a valid bracket, and I applaud that. And also the reason is, quirky thing about me is I love movies, and they're landmarks in my life, and I remember 99% of the movies that I've seen in theater, I remember who I was with and who I watched that movie. Like, I remember seeing just dumb movies like I saw Titanic with my mom. I saw E.T. with my dad. I saw Tango and Cash with my dad at a theater in Colombia. Like, it was always like, since my parents were separated, when I would spend time with them, it was like, we're going to movies. So I can really relate to that. And I just realized recently that every time I walk by my dad's room, he's watching some cool old ass movie and stuff like that. I'm like, I wonder if I became a movie director, because something to do with that. It's almost like there could be a psychology to this whole shit. So again, let me get this off the screen, guys. So I appreciate you guys for coming on. I think it was an awesome conversation about that. I hope you guys had some fun.
So much fun.
Very much.
All right, and then Patrick, I know, do you have anywhere where people can follow you, or something that you're doing, like some people can follow your adventures, or just?
I mean, I have my actor page, which is patrickmichaelvalley.com. I'm going to be doing filming a short film in New York in May. The title is still undecided, but it's the working title is Aaron. It's going to be a story about a retiree who gives acting a shot, and what that journey is all about. So that's going to be fun. And other than that, you can find me on Twitter, Patrick M. Valley. You can find me on Facebook, Patrick Michael Valley.
Just look for the Snyder Cut hashtag. You'll probably get pops up first.
It's on my Twitter. It's definitely on my Twitter.
And Crystal, are you still doing your Nerd Girls stream podcast still, or?
We've got Two Geek Girls. That whole show is about everything's getting revamped. So I'll have a much better answer for this, hopefully, the next time we talk. But the good news is I am the only Crystal in the world with 2 S's. So Crystal Hubbard, I'm going to be it. You can find IMDb for what is about to be released. And that makes me really easy to find on anything else like Facebook or Instagram. And all of the new content is going to be predominantly on those platforms. I'm still debating on Twitter, but we'll see.
Awesome. And you're shooting all that out just all in studio right now, mostly on set, constructed everything, or are you doing some
whereas we're doing Supergirl, it's going to start with very practical, contained moments of world building, and then we're hopefully going to move on as people hopefully like each episode better.
Okay. Well, I got a comment here. Jim says I can see Patrick playing Jimmy Olsen.
Oh,
So
Jimmy Olsen.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully they don't kill me off. They don't kill me off.
I won't kill you off, Patrick. You're good.
So if she gets
come over to my world,
if she gets to do the 10 episodes, then hopefully maybe she can write 12 episodes,
Yeah.
and you can drive down from New York to Georgia, and she can get you in the mix.
Hey, my brother lives in Atlanta, so.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for everybody that came in the chat. Thank you for everybody hung out with you guys. We've talked enough, guys. So I will talk to you guys soon. The best of luck to you guys on your projects. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you very much.
Peace
out,
out.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.